If you want to stop reading the automation, you can turn it off by pressing the Read Enable button. Pressing it again will turn reading back on. If you look on the inspector, there's another Read Enable button. There's one on the track and more on our automation tracks. These are all the same button. It's Read Enable for the whole track. Each automation track has a mute button, so you don't have to turn off all of them with the Read Enable button if you don't want to. This can be done globally using the automation panel. Pressing the All button under Suspend Read will turn all the other buttons above it green, turning off the automation for all the tracks. You can then choose which type of automation gets turned off or suspended. When you're editing your audio files, you may want to have the automation move with the audio file. To do this, make sure you have the option Automation Follows Events checked under the Edit menu. Now when you move an audio event, the automation moves with it. You can also turn this on and off in the Editing section in the Preferences menu. Before we go any further, let's delete the automation we've already put in. Right-click on the volume automation track and choose Select All Events. Then press Delete or Backspace on your keyboard. You can also right-click and choose Remove Selected Tracks. In the Automation panel, under Functions, we can delete all automation in the project. Delete the automation of only the tracks I select, and delete automation only in a range that I specify. Let me explain the last one, Delete Automation in Range. Our range is the left and right locators. Draw some automation inside our loop, and then draw some outside. Now select Delete Automation in Range. Notice that it doesn't zero. If there is automation to the left and right of it, Cubase will keep it consistent depending on what comes before and after it. Now choose Delete All Automation in Project and press Show Used, as this will effectively hide all automation windows since there's no automation anymore. We could have also pressed the Hide All button here, but I wanted to make sure you had the concepts down. Plugins can also be automated. Let's add an insert plugin to this drum track. We'll add reverb, and let's make this always on top. Make sure automation mode is in view along the top of the project page and choose Touch. You can also press the Touch button in the automation panel, as this does the same thing. Touch means that automation gets written as soon as you touch the fader and then stops when you let go. Turn on the Read and Write automation buttons on the Reverb plugin. Press the spacebar to start playback and play with the Reverb's mix knob. Press Stop and turn off the Write button. Press the Show Hide Automation button on the drums track. Choose Insert 1 RoomWorks Mix from the list of automation parameters, which again has a star next to it to let you know that it's used in the project. Now you can see the automation data that you just created. Let's try out some other modes. The way Auto Latch mode works is that the automation starts writing when you press the Write button and doesn't stop until you press the Write button again, or stop playback. Enable Automation Write on the plugin. Press play and notice that nothing is being written until I move the mix knob. When I let go of the mix knob, it continues to write. However, if loop is on and I begin a new cycle, the automation stops writing. You can, however, keep the automation writing if the loop cycles or if you click to another location in your project. To do this, turn on Allow Continue Writing After Transport Jump in the Options of the Automation panel. Crossover is pretty cool. It's like auto-latch, but as soon as you cross an existing or previous automation point, it stops recording. Let's try it. To show you this in a very simple way, let's erase all the automation and drop in 2 automation points on the track volume. I'm going to move the fader below the original value and then back up to where the next value is. When the curve gets close to the next automation point, automation automatically punches out. Now that we have a curve here, let's try crossover automation again. I'm going to change the curve and get close to the original curve. See it punch out? The return time in the automation panel plays a role in this too. This setting determines how fast the automation parameter returns to the previous value when you release the mouse button. Notice that when I change the value to something like 1,000 milliseconds, the line after the project cursor in my automation changes. See how long it is? That looks crazy cool. Now change it to 33 milliseconds, which is the default. I'm going to double-click to be more precise. Record some automation and see how short it is. When you're writing in trim mode, it offsets the automation that is already there without overwriting it. This is great for increasing or decreasing the automation that is already on the track. You don't even need to be playing back to trim the automation. If Cubase is playing and trim is on, it will only affect the automation just after the playback head. Suspend write is best explained right in the Cubase manual. Basically, it says that you may have certain tracks muted while working on a mix. Then you might want to start writing automation, but because some tracks are muted, you might record mute automation. You wouldn't want mute automation recorded, so you can suspend the writing of mute automation by pressing the mute button under Suspend Write.